and etiopathogenesis and findings in aplastic anemia. This all four specific learning objectives we will learn today. Now, how it differs, theory apart, but remember how the sickle cell is different from thalassemia. A basic difference is sickle cell is a disease. Sickle cell disease is a qualitative abnormality of a hemoglobin. Qualitative abnormality of hemoglobin, whereas in thalassemia it is a quantitative abnormality of hemoglobin. In sickle cell, beta chains are produced, whether they are mutated or not. Beta chains are produced, but what happens in here? There is a no production, zero productions, partial productions, or total absence. Like that. It's a production defect, direct production defect. That is called as a thalassemia. Depending upon which chain is blocked, that is alpha thalassemia, if alpha chains are blocked, beta thalassemia, if beta chains are blocked, beta thalassemia minor, if only one gene is affected, beta thalassemia major, if multiple genes are affected and production is hampered very much, that will lead to beta thalassemia major. Like that, it is a quantitative abnormality, and that depends on the quantity of beta chain or alpha chain productions. Okay? So, thalassemia is a syndrome or a heterogeneous group of inherited disorders caused by genetic lesion leading to decreased synthesis of either an alpha or a beta globin chain of hemoglobin A, which is made up of alpha 2 and beta 2. Beta thalassemia is caused by deficient synthesis of the beta chain, whereas alpha thalassemia is caused by deficient synthesis of the alpha chain. Thus, they are quantitative disorders of hemoglobin. Okay, it is commonly in Mediterranean region, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. It can be classified into either alpha thalassemia, beta thalassemia, or miscellaneous syndrome. Means some may have a mixed genetic background. That is HDS and THAL. Mother is having sickle cell disease and father is having thalassemia. Though child may have possible that child may have HDS THAL. So that like that HDS THAL and beta thalassemia will be there. Hematological consequences. What will happen to this kind of patients? That is, the hematological consequences of decreased synthesis of one globin chain stem not only from the low intracellular hemoglobin, that is hypochromia, but also from a relative excess of unimpaired chain, whether it is alpha or beta. For example, in beta thalassemia, excess free alpha chain aggregate into insoluble inclusions within the red cells and their precursor, leading to premature destructions of maturing erythroblast within the marrow, that is called ineffective erythropoiesis, and lysis of mature red cells in the spleen, that is called extravascular hemolysis. Is it clear? So here destruction or anemia is not only because of one thing. One, production nahi ho raha hai. Second, ineffective erythropoiesis, and third is spleen lysis, hemolysis within the spleen. So first we will look after the beta thalassemia. The abnormality common to all beta thalassemia is decreased synthesis or diminished synthesis or total lack of structurally normal beta globin chains coupled with the unimpaired synthesis of the alpha chain. Clinical severity of anemia varies due to heterogeneity in the causative mutation. Incidence is more in Middle East, Pakistan, India, Southeast Asia. In India, which communities is most commonly affected are the Sindhis, Punjabis, Bengalis, Gujarati, Parsi, and Rohanas. Adult hemoglobin. What is the pathogenesis of this beta thalassemia? Adult hemoglobin is tetramer composed of 2 alpha and 2 beta chain. Remember, the alpha globin genes are present on chromosome 16 and beta globin gene is present on the chromosome 11. So what happens? In case of beta thalassemia, syndromes are classified into two categories, that is beta 0 thalassemia associated with total absence of beta chain. Beta chain production is total absent, so it is called beta 0 thalassemia. It is an homozygous state, and beta plus thalassemia characterized by reduced but detectable amount of beta globin synthesis in the homozygous state. Sequencing of beta thalassemia gene has revealed approximately 100 different causative mutations that may lead to this kind of abnormality. Most are the point mutations. Other mutations are promoter gene region mutation, that is transcription defect, chain terminator mutation, splicing mutation. But what we have to focus is this figure. This is called as a unaffected carrier father and unaffected carrier mother. Why it is important to know? Because nowadays technology is grown enough that we can prevent the thalassemia childhood. For what? For that, what we have to do? One, that every these susceptible tribal regions should be classified that they are a thalassemia minor or thalassemia major or sickle cell or sickle cell trait. That kind of classification should be complete. Plus, before marriage, their HPLC report should be present so that they must know my partner is having thalassemia minor or thalassemia major or sickle cell. That is also very important. Why it is important? Because in this figure you can see that in thalassemia carrier means minor. Whoever is thalassemia minor is always on a carrier, because all thalassemia minor is leading their life completely normal. Even there are 10 to 15 or 5 to 10 persons out of you are also having thalassemia minor. That kind of things are so common. But remember, what should not happen? Thalassemia minor is not a problem, but thalassemia minor male married with a thalassemia minor female, then this possibility will generate that one gene, one abnormal gene, if the both normal gene will present, 1 in 4 chance the child will be normal. Then the central two, that is again they will be a carrier because they are a none. And in 1 out of 4, that is 25% chance that both will get a defective gene from father and mother, and that child will suffer from a thalassemia major. So to prevent this, we have to do the HPLC, and before marriage they should know the status of their. Suppose in a rare instance if husband and wife both are thalassemia minor, then they should do testing in a fetal life. They should test their baby. That is called prenatal testing. Prenatal genetic testing is also available nowadays. They can know what is the status of my child, whether this child is suffering from thalassemia major, means out of these 4, at which position my child is. So this kind of testing is now available. So we have to spread this message to our society, especially these language people, that they should do the testing before their marriage. That is must. HPLC testing to prevent this. Now let's switch over to the impaired beta globin. What pathogenesis leads to this? Impaired beta globin synthesis results in anemia by 2 mechanisms. A deficit in HbA synthesis leads to low FCHC and thus hypochromic and microcytic red cells are seen. A more important factor is diminished survival of the red cells and their precursor, resulting from imbalance in alpha and beta chain synthesis. Since synthesis of the globin chain continues, most of the chain produced cannot find complementary beta chain to bind, and few bind with the gamma chain to form HbF. Free alpha chain precipitates within the normoblast, forming an insoluble inclusions, and precipitations of alpha chain results in membrane damage, that is ineffective erythropoiesis. In severe beta thalassemia, it is estimated that 70 to 80% of normoblasts suffer this fate, leading to ineffective erythropoiesis. The inclusion bearing red cells derived from the precursor escaping intramedullary death are prone to splenic sequestration and destruction due to cell membrane and damage and decreased deformity. Development of anemia stimulates the erythropoietic secretions. Remember, because of all these things, ultimately patient is having medullary activity, excess medullary activity, but net production is 0. or near to zero, very low. So anemia is severe although the medullary activity is heavy because of ineffective erythropoiesis and extravascular lysis. Now what happens? Because of anemia, there will be a stimulations of erythropoietin secretions which further lead to massive erythroid hyperplasia in the marrow and the sites of extramedullary hematopoiesis. So body feels that still our medullary activity is not proper. We have to expand our medullary activity to compensate for the anemia. So again and again, there will be a marrow expansion will process. The expanding mass of erythropoietic marrow invades the bony cortex and impairs the bone growth and produces other skeletal abnormality described in later. So what happens? The marrow activity gradually enlarges because ultimately there is a anemia continues because of these things. Production marrow working excellently, but still there is no output and anemia is there. So signal is to expand the marrow cavity. So all this leads to bone changes present in the patients. Extramedullary hematopoiesis involves the liver, spleen and lymph nodes and in extreme cases produce an extraosseous masses in the thorax, abdomen and pelvis. Another disastrous complication seen in severe beta thalassemia is excessive absorption of dietary iron. This coupled with iron accumulation due to repeated blood transfusion required by these patients and lead to a state of severe iron overload and secondary injury to the parenchymal organ like liver, iron laden liver and often follows sometimes induces secondary hemochromatosis present in myocardium, parathyroids and hypothyroids. So what happens? Iron, because of anemia, iron is absorbed very fast. That is one way by which body is full of iron. There is no abnormality of iron. So normal iron content is there, ferritin is enough. Still more and more iron enters into the body. Patient is having 2 to 3 or 4 or 5, 6 hemoglobin. So clinician will give the hemoglobin or a clinician will give the blood transfusions. So because of blood transfusion, that much amount of iron is also added. So at a one point, the patient is having a hemochromatosis, means iron overload within the body, and that initially imparted within the liver and later on even in the parathyroid and even in the heart muscles. So this is called secondary hemochromatosis. This is a simple way by which you can understand. The blocked beta synthesis will lead to selected survival of HbF cells, increased level of HbF in the blood and increased Hb oxygen affinity, increased erythropoietin production, increased proliferations of erythroid cells, that all lead to an anemia. And underproductions of HbA, that leads to anemia. Excess alpha chain will produce precipitations and trapping in the RE cells, that is lead to a hemolysis. Ineffective erythropoiesis, iron over transfusion, that leads to an iron overload. And extramedullary hematopoiesis also leads to splenomegaly. So this patient is having a bone changes as well as hepatosplenomegaly and secondary hemochromatosis changes. This all will be present in thalassemia major patients. Here you can see the skeletal deformities and systemic iron overload happens in cases of thalassemia patients. Clinical syndromes of beta thalassemia. Why it is called syndrome? Because more than one entity is there. Beta thalassemia major, these individuals are having homozygous beta thalassemia gene, that is beta plus or beta 0 beta 0. It is a severe transfusion dependent anemia. Beta thalassemia minor or beta thalassemia trait. It's a heterozygous with one beta thalassemia gene and one normal gene. Usually have a mild hypochromic anemia that causes no symptom. I have told you, beta thalassemia minor patients are already present over here and 10 to 15 are having beta thalassemia minor, but they have no clinical features. Unless they do their HbA2 level or RBC count, MCV, MCHC, they don't know that they have a beta thalassemia minor. So remember, this is a beta thalassemia minor is a 1 in 20 disease. Beta thalassemia intermedia is genetically heterogeneous clinical anxiety in which patients have clinical spectrum intermediate between the trait and major. Now, here you must concentrate on the things that major, intermediate and minor. Here one gene, there are only two genes are there. Suppose any one of them is affected, any one of gene is affected, then there will be a intermediate. And if one gene is normal, then you can, whether it is a beta 0B or B plus B, means one gene is normal, then the patient will be a thalassemia minor. One gene is absolutely normal. Suppose one gene, if both the genes are affected, whether beta plus or beta 0, that is, both the genes are affected. So they are comes under a category of thalassemia major. And intermediate is in between the conditions. So one gene normal, beta thalassemia minor. Both the genes are abnormal, whether abnormal in the form of decreased production or absence of production. Beta 0 or beta plus, but both the genes are affected, then it is a thalassemia major. And both the genes are out of both the genes, one gene is normal, it's called thalassemia minor. And remember, why we have a large number of patients of beta thalassemia and not very few cases of thalassemia minor? Because here there are two genes, genotype is 2. Compared to alpha thalassemia, there are 4 genotypes. That we will see later on. But here you have to focus on these things. Thalassemia major, common congenital hemolytic anemia, beta 0, this is all we have to learn. Now let's switch over to clinical features. Age within the first year of a life, when HbF is wearing off and beta chains are not formed. This is a very typical that you have to remember in your life, that every patient of thalassemia major, because of abnormality is beta chain production. The beta chain productions is affected means what? HbF is going and HbA is coming. Is it clear? When in neonate or fetal life, there is HbF, alpha 2 gamma 2 is there. Now what happens? HbA, that is normal, HbA is time to come after 3 to 6 months. Within the 3 to 6 months, the alpha 2 gamma 2 is replaced by alpha 2 beta 2 in our hemoglobin. Is it clear? So the need of beta chain is at the point of 6 months. Really? Can you understand? जरूरत कब है बीटा चेन का? तो 6 मंथ पे. अगर वो बीटा चेन 6 मंथ पे अवेलेबल नहीं है तो उसका क्लिनिकल फीचर्स कब आएगा? 6 मंथ में आएगा ग्रेजुअली, क्योंकि HbF तब तक है. So what happens? These kind of patients of beta thalassemia major usually presents after the 1 year of age, and they have a decreased RBC count plus anisocoagulopathosis excess. So presentation age is very difficult if more than 1 year child or just 1 to 2, in between 1 to 2 year of a child is having severe anemia. Your DD must be thalassemia major. You have to rule out thalassemia major. So it is the first year of life when HbF is wearing off and beta chains are not formed. Anemia develops in infants and failure to thrive and intermittent infections and poor feeding all will be present in this case. Paler splenomegaly due to increased red cell destruction, extramedullary hematomesis and iron overload. Thalassemic phases, that I have told you, the medullary or bone marrow space. That is thalassemic phases because of frontal losing due to thickening of cranial bones and prominent cheekbones that lead to a mongoloid phases. Jaundice will be present because ineffective erythropoiesis that leads to ineffective erythropoiesis that lead to indirect bilirubin, increase in the indirect bilirubin. That leads to jaundice. Growth and development is stunted and menarche is delayed. Infections, cardiac changes because of, I have told you, the secondary hemochromatosis. that cardiac changes is hemocytosis and arrhythmias and CCF because iron is overloaded over there in cardiac muscles. Hepatomegaly due to extramedullary hepatomesis and iron depositions. Endocrine system, hypothyroidism, hypoparathyroidism, growth hormone deficiency and diabetes may happen in later stages. This is a mongoloid phasis. Bone changes is the expansions of the skull bones, hair on end appearance. Laboratory findings. What will be the finding? Anemia moderate to severe presented in more than 1 year of age in thalassemia major. Indices MCV is diminished, MCHC and MCH is reduced, hypochromic microcytic anemia plus marked anisocoagulophytosis because there is a dyserythropoiesis as well as production state is not there. So there are multiple mechanisms affecting. Iron is there, but because of excess alpha chains plus ineffective erythropoiesis, that both the things will lead to marked anisocoagulophytosis, presence of target cells, basophilic stippling, normoblast, teardrop and fragmented cells and polychromasia. Let me show you the figure. These are typical features. You can see here hypochromia is there, but with the presence of target cells, and you can see the size, variations in the cell size. Some may be small, some may be large. You can see a erythroblast, normoblast is there. Remember, whenever the normoblast is present, it means erythroid hyperplasia and bone marrow activity is excessive. That is, whenever in sickle cell anemia or in thalassemia, whenever the excessive bone marrow activity to compensate for the anemia is there, you will see a normoblast entering into the bloodstream. So this is a peripheral smear showing normoblast means anemia is severe. Then only they can come out. Otherwise, reticulocyte followed by red cells will come into the picture. So this kind of anisocoagulophytosis will be there. Morphology is very typical with target cell anisocoagulophytosis and presence of normoblast at the age of 1 year to 1.5 year. That almost always stem your diagnosis. Just you have to advise the HPS. If this peripheral picture and age is there. Reticulocytosis, WBC count is increased. Methyl violet staining demonstrate the aggregates of the alpha chain in the cytoplasm of normoblast. Bilirubin is increased, iron and ferritin are increased, TIBC is reduced, transferrin saturations is increased. Bone marrow shows normoblastic erythroid hyperplasia. Special test will be HPF is increased by alkali denaturation method. HPA is denatured by strong alkali like NOH, while HPF is not. So by acid elution method, cells containing HPA appears as a ghost cell, while HPF containing cells as a well-stained HPF cells, resistant elutions. This is the final test initially. Once the HPLC comes into the picture, later on this is not a very final test, but HP electrophoresis is again like in sickle cell anemia is also used by many of the medium-sized laboratories to diagnose for the thalassemia or sickle cell anemia. Here you can see that HbF in case of beta plus thalassemia, HbA is present between 10% or 90%. You can see in beta thalassemia major, beta plus, you can see the HbA is present but in variable amount from 10 to 90. Whereas in case of beta 0 thalassemia, it is absolutely 0 and all the portion is taken care of by HbF. अपना ड्यूटी खत्म होता है जब वार्ड में 8 to 2, 2 to 8 और डॉक्टर्स का ड्यूटी होता है 8 to 2, 2 to 8, फिर 8 to 8 ऐसा ड्यूटी होता है. तो ऐसा इनका हीमोग्लोबिन का भी ड्यूटी होता है. तो 6 मंथ तक HbF का ड्यूटी था. 6 मंथ तक HbF का ड्यूटी था पूरा संभालने का वार्ड को. But what happens? HbA didn't arrive in this kind of patients, thalassemia major. So beta, in case of beta 0 thalassemia, what happens? the HbAF will persist for a longer duration of time. So HbAF will be 98% rather than HbA. This is just to remember you till your next hemoglobin comes. The previous hemoglobin continues to be maintained just to maintain the hemoglobin. This is the same way. In thalassemia minor, here you should remember in thalassemia minor, HbA2 is more than 3.5. The only diagnostic test, final confirmatory diagnostic test to detect thalassemia minor is their HbA2 level. If HbA2 level is more than 3.5, the patient is suffering from beta thalassemia minor. Is it clear? Globin chain synthesis, DNA analysis and for mutations management is usually a blood transfusions. आप जानते होंगे थैलेसेमिया पेशेंट्स को हर 3 महीने में एक ब्लड चाहिए. हमारे ब्लड बैंक में थैलेसेमिया के I am also enrolled in that donor list that every 3 months thalassemia child needs blood donation. So according to that blood group we have made our table that in every blood group there are 5 to 6 donors. They have written their name like me. If whenever the need arises, I will come. Provided that donor should have completed the 3 months of previous donation. So you can also, if you are healthy enough and you can, if you want, you can go to blood bank and register yourself for thalassemia patients. So whenever these thalassemia patients needs a special kind of your blood group, they will call you. Provided you have 3 months and you are healthy, then only they will collect the blood. So this kind of thalassemia registry and thalassemia protocol is going on in our blood bank also. Here I will not go into detail. It's I have already discussed the thalassemia minor. Remember, it's either of the one gene is here. Only HbA2 4 to 8% of total hemoglobin. Recognitions of beta thalassemia. Here, in case of alpha thalassemia, I have told you 4 genotype is there compared to 2 genotype in beta thalassemia. So what happens? It is a reduced or absent synthesis of the alpha globin chain and resulting in decreased productions of hemoglobin that contain alpha chains. That is HbA, A2 and HbF. There are normally 4 alpha globin genes, that is alpha alpha, oblique alpha alpha. The severity of alpha thalassemia vary greatly depending on the number of the globin genes affected. So here comparatively 4 genes होते हैं तो problem नहीं आता है. That is the reason why we are not facing so many patients of alpha thalassemia. However, there are patients of alpha thalassemia, but rare. Clinical syndromes determined and classified by number and positions of deleted globin genes. Let me show this figure only. This is enough to understand that alpha thalassemia. Remember, in first hydrops spitalis, you can see all the 4 genotypes are deleted, and that leads to lethal outcome in utero without transfusion. That condition is called as a hydrops spitalis. Out of 4 genes, if 3 genes are absent and only 1 gene is present, it's a severe condition and it resembles like a beta thalassemia intermediate, and the condition is known as HbH disease. Whereas alpha thalassemia trait is known when any 2 genotype is present. It is asymptomatic like beta thalassemia minor, and silent carrier when 1 gene is deleted and 3 genes are normal. So this is a simplest way to understand what happens in. There are 2 important short notes of HbH disease and hydrops spitalis, commonly asked in many exams. It's caused by deletions of a 3 alpha globin genes. HbH disease is seen most commonly in the Asian population and rarely in those of African origin. With only 1 normal alpha globin gene, the synthesis of the alpha chain is markedly reduced and tetramers of excess beta globin called the HbH form. HbH has an extremely high affinity for the oxygen and therefore it is not useful for oxygen exchange and leading to the tissue hypoxia disproportionate to the level of the hemoglobin. Additionally, HbH is prone to oxidations leading to formations of intracellular inclusions that can be demonstrated by staining with the whiter dyes. The instability of HBH is major cause of anemia as precipitates of oxidized HBH form is in older red cells. Here lab finding in moderate anemia, peripheral smear finding with a severe hypochromic microcytic anemia and target cells will be present. HBH inclusions are multiple blue-green inclusions seen in the mature RBC with brilliant glycyl blue stain and HB electrophoresis. Newborn will show 20 to 40% of BARTs and afterward 5 to 30% of HBH and remainder will be HBA and N2NF. You can see this methyl glycyl violet staining and last is the hydrops. Most severe form of alpha thalassemia is caused by deletions of all 4 globin genes in the fetus. Excess gamma globulin chains form a tetramer with such a high affinity for oxygen that they deliver almost no oxygen to the tissue, and survival in early development is due to the expression of theta chain and embryonic globin that pairs with the gamma chain to form a functional Hb tetramer. And here also Hb electrophoresis will give you a final diagnosis. This is very important because after learning, if you will not do this, there is no meaning of learning. Preventions of thalassemia is thalassemia trained in parents. You should do an antenatal chorionic villus biopsy, an analysis of fetal DNA for point mutations, thalassemia screening in antenatal mothers with Hb of less than 11 gram that we can do. So these all for the preventions of thalassemia we should do. Here I have told you what is the difference of iron and thalassemia. You can see that anisopoikilocytosis is more in case of thalassemia and target cells, presence of target cells is more in case of thalassemia compared to iron deficiency anemia where it is round and oval cells. This commonest G6PD deficiency, I will not go in detail, but it is a red cell enzyme defect. G6PD commonly present in the Prajapati communities. G6PD is a one enzyme present in the red cell, and this red cell, whoever is having G6PD deficiency, their red cells are susceptible to lysis when they are exposed to oxidants. Okay, so in this case, it's an exhaust monophosphate shunts or glutathione metabolism resulting from deficient or impaired enzyme function reduce the ability of red cells to protect themselves against the oxidative injuries leading to an hemolytic disease. So that oxidative injuries cannot be prevented if G6PD enzymes is not there. G6PD converts the glucose 6-phosphate into a 6-phosphogluconolactone with conversion of NADP to NADPH, and glutathione is the main reducing agent in the red cells, an essential cofactor in the reaction. So like you can see over here, if G6PD is not there, the NADP we cannot convert to NADPH, and thereby this H2O2 cannot convert into H2O. So oxidative injuries will happen to the red cells in absence of G6PD deficiency. Remember, this is more common in the patients of having surname of Prajapati, and the specific test is G6PD quantitative and qualitative. These are the two laboratory investigations, and patient is having complaint of hemolytic anemia or complaint like in hemolytic anemia, but they are aggravated when they are exposed to this kind of oxidative stress. Which are the most common things? Sulfa, primacrine. Specifically, after virus, if the patient is having primacrine and G6PD is not done, आप वार्ड में गए होंगे तो आपको पता होगा जब भी मलेरिया पॉजिटिव आए तो रेसिडेंट भेजता है G6PD टेस्टिंग के लिए ब्लड सैंपल्स इन केस ऑफ मलेरिया. For this is for just for this reason कि before starting primacrine patient must be having G6PD negative test. Okay, for this reason sulfa drugs are also may lead to oxidative injury, nitrofurans, nitrofurantoins, and all these drugs can lead to G6PD deficiency, hemolytic anemia, chronic hemolytic anemia, and neonatal hyperbilirubinemia. All this can happen if we are not doing the things. And I have told you the test quantitative and qualitative analysis is enough. Simple last is an aplastic anemia. Remember, the marrow activity is shut down, that is called as an aplastic anemia. Here, the clinical feature is or hematological finding is as same as the beta B12 deficiency, that is megaloblastic anemia. Pancytopenia, you will see a pancytopenia, no RBC count very low, WBC count very low, platelet count very low. Pancytopenia, there are two differential diagnoses. One, aplastic anemia, second is B12 deficiency. But remember, spleen, you have to first check the spleen. If the spleen is normal, then only aplastic anemia can be a diagnosis. If spleen is enlarged, aplastic anemia rules out. Okay, so in case of aplastic anemia, it's a hematopoietic tissue is replaced by the fat cells in absence of abnormal infiltrate or increase in reticulin. Why it is called in absence of infiltrate? Because whenever there is a malignancy in the body, that also malignant cells enters into the marrow, and that also can produce a blockage in the hematopoietic proliferations. But in absence of abnormal infiltrate, if the marrow activity is shut down, replaced by the fat cells, then it is called as a aplastic anemia. Cytopenia, I have told you, all count is reduced. Criteria for diagnosis is nothing but no lymphadenopathy, no hepatosplenomegaly, no preceding treatment, no deficiency, means a diagnosis of exclusion. But at last, what you have to do? A common age of presentation is 12-year-old male presenting with a bleeding mouth ulcer, marked pallor, fever, and purplish rash. The cell counter slip shown below. You can see WBC 1.9, that is 1900. Our hemoglobin 6.7 and platelet only 14,000. When this kind of pancytopenia is there, patient is having an aplastic anemia. And remember that I have told you in the first lecture, lymphocyte is 66%. Why it is so? Because their lifespan is 1 to 2 years compared to the normal lifespan of myelocytes. Okay. Peripheral blood picture almost near normal, but low RBC count is typically seen. And last is the bone marrow picture. When you do a bone marrow aspirations, only fat particles will come out, no marrow particle will come. And when you do the biopsy, you can see that in between the bony trabeculi, there are only a fat cell, no hematopoietic tissues are present. So this is a diagnostic test for the aplastic anemia. Thank you.